Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody. Those are not my parents. No, they are not my parents. I do not know them. Well, I don't know them personally. I know who they are. I think we should all know who they are. Oh, this is in a kind of a bad spot. Let's put it down there. Now you guys can see, if you guys want to check out this channel, go to coffeewithsteve.info, and /live is always going to be my live broadcasts. And then, of course, on Facebook, I am at Coffee with Steve B. Mostly that's just memes. I just mostly post memes on there and some pretty funny stuff. So thank you for joining me today on Coffee with Steve. Let's start off with a little bit of some coffee, shall we? Yeah. Like my R2D2 mug? Yeah. I don't know about you, but I am a little excited about the next installment of the Star Wars saga, the final installment, I take it. That's apparently what it's going to be, the final installment to the Skywalker saga. I don't know how I feel about the name. Anyway, that is not what I'm here to talk about, and I think I'm going to reduce my levels a little bit on my microphone here for everybody. Okay, there. That should be fine. So, no, today I feel a little sense of an obligation here to one of my fellow YouTube broadcasters. There's some pretty shady stuff going on right now, in case you guys don't know. There's this thing trending on Twitter right now called Voxpocalypse. Voxpocalypse. And some of you guys may know what Vox is. Vox is basically this. They purport to be a news outlet. And I remember when they were first coming out, when they were first being announced, it was supposed to be like news that was video news. It was or like Wikipedia. That's what it was. It was supposed to be like a Wikipedia, but it was going to be video oriented. And I don't know what happened to that, because that's certainly not what it's become now. It's just kind of, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's kind of just like a left-wing outlet. It's just another place to go if you want your leftist ideology, bubble area, if that's what you want to hear. Now, I'm okay with stuff like that. I am fine with you go watch whatever you want to watch. You go listen to whatever you want to listen to. You go read whatever you want to read. And as long as there is the same amount of freedom for everybody else, then who cares, right? Like, the whole purpose of America, right, is, that freedom, the freedom of expression. It's our First Amendment right to have the ability to speak our minds whenever we want to. And that's what's afforded me this opportunity to talk to you guys today. Now, I really didn't want to do this today. I really didn't. I had a whole other topic lined up that I was going to talk about. It's going to be technology related. But there's just so much of this going on here, and I think that it just needs to be, I know I'm just adding my voice to this conversation. That you could probably find a bajillion other opinions on this, and you'd be rightfully, if you want to turn it off, go ahead. I certainly understand, but I think that it's important to discuss this because there is a legitimate culture war going on right now, and it's happening online. It's going online. It's going through Twitter, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's all the social media areas, right? There's this, they're trying to figure out, are we a platform or are we a publisher? And for the longest time, they've been able to say that they are a platform because that's what they were. Anybody could come on, and there were some terms of service in usability, right? You had to do certain things. You couldn't violate certain rules in order to stay on there. You couldn't post really vulgar things, or I guess even anti-Semitic stuff I've seen has stayed on there. So, I mean, for a long time, they were very, let's say, liberal about what you could say. Okay, there was really not much cracking down on what people were talking about. And nowadays, it's like that liberalism, the freedom that was coming from online. The main thing that made the internet so great was this freedom that you had to do anything and be anything and want anything. Like, you could just, everything was open, right? It was an open platform. There was no real regulation or restriction. And that's kind of what we got. And the best of the best started to rise from that. I mean, take, for example, MySpace, right? MySpace was a pretty good space for a lot of us early on. It kind of did some things that we did, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Facebook is just better, right? And that's because the cream rose to the top. The product that really suited the people better and gained more popularity was the one that ultimately won the day. And that's how, as it should be. I believe in capitalism. I believe in freedom. I believe that these more liberal ideas, and I say liberal, in the correct terminology, classic liberalism, the freedom of the people to do and express themselves in whichever way that they want in an open society is exactly how we get the best things. So, contrast that with the modern day liberal philosophy, and what you have is, in my opinion, totalitarianism. I mean, it's just become, if you don't agree with me, you need to be banned. You need to be deplatformed. You need to be silenced because you're hate speech. You're toxic. What's toxic is when you stop other people from speaking, okay? What's totalitarian is when you stop people from talking. What's fascist is when you think your ideas are the only one that should win and everybody else should be silenced, okay? Take away their money, take away their jobs, yell at them on platforms, throw milkshakes at them. Like, that's fascism. I don't understand how people don't see this. I hope people are starting to wake up. Which side of this argument? Like, they're yelling fascism, right? Antifa, right? They're fascist, they're fascist, they're fascist. Look at who's actually the fascists. It's not that hard to figure out with any sort of discerning eye. So, all right. The topic that I wanted to talk about was the Voxpocalypse. And you can tell I'm riled up, right? Like, this stuff really riles me up because it's so frustrating. I live in America. There should be freedom of speech. If you get offended, I understand you get offended, and I will rally to your cause if you have a legitimate reason to be offended. I totally will. But when you just have really thin skin and it shows, then I have some problems, okay? I got some thick skin, I hope. I don't know. I got thin skin at times, too. Boy, sometimes I fly off the handle like I am right now. I'm really thin-skinned about this. Okay, so let me just kind of start off with this. I thought a good neutral, let's start off with kind of a neutral take on things. There's a couple of comments in here that make me think that there is kind of this one side this guy goes to, but for the most part, I'd say Eli Becht has done a pretty good job of staying fairly neutral and just kind of describing the events as they happen. So, this is from a website called Dexerto.com, and Eli Becht here is the guy that wrote this, and I'm just going to mostly read through some of this. So, making your living on YouTube can be pretty tough, right? And it's getting a little bit harder now because of this Voxpocalypse. And here's the funny thing about this is this may have been intended to stop like one YouTube broadcaster, but what has ended up happening is yet another YouTube overreaction, right? That's what's going on. And it's all supposedly in the name of, they want to take the advertisers and say, we're not going to put your commercial next to this controversial content, right? Because what ends up happening is people who don't understand how the YouTube platform works thinks that, oh, there's this advertisement running on this video, therefore the advertiser must support the video content provider. And that's not the case, right? That's not how it works. It's not as if say JCPenney, okay, just throwing a name out there, JCPenney, let's say that they were paying YouTube for advertising. Okay, YouTube just has this algorithm that says, oh, what's popular today and what's kind of relevant to JCPenney. And my channel or other channels would get, monetized. We would monetize our videos, say, yes, I want ads to run on my videos. And what ends up happening is those ads will run on, YouTube next to or in front of or after those videos. And, it really was just kind of an algorithmic thing. It wasn't as if JCPenney said, you know what, I like that Steve guy. Let's put our advertisements on his show. That's not how it worked. But people didn't seem to understand this. So they just they started going after companies. Like if somebody said, well, Steve said something controversial and therefore JCPenney needs to know about it, right? Even though JCPenney has like no idea, right? So YouTube has to be much more strict about what kind of content goes on overall so that all of these advertisements will be able to be displayed on channels that are less controversial. Now, the thing about that is, the less controversial a channel is, the less likely it is to have views, right? The more controversial the video is, the more controversial the person doing it, the content creator, the more views they have, the more interaction they have. And this is, this is by design, right? Like the controversy is exactly what brings people to watch. It's exactly what brings people to listen. So really, they're just shooting themselves in the foot because now by saying we're going to demonetize, we're going to want to get rid of all these controversial people. You're getting rid of the very eyeballs you want on your channel or on your website, YouTube. So it doesn't make any sense to me that, like, from a business perspective, Google, Alphabet, YouTube should be looking at this going, screw your thin skin. This is how we make money. Okay, and if an advertiser doesn't like it, we're going to try to come up with some mechanisms to try to maybe better match up your content with the providers. But if one slips through, don't just go attack everybody because then you're just thin-skinned. You don't understand the business. Okay, that's your fault for not understanding the way the business works, not our fault because one of these videos got slipped through. Okay. So, going back to the controversy. I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here. So, Carlos Maza, this guy from Vox, okay, goes by the name Gay Wonk. So obviously he purports to be gay, which I don't know, I don't have any reason to disbelieve him. And he says he's a wonk. So a wonk is basically an American term for somebody who's in political, like a political pundit, basically. So Maza flagged YouTube to Crowder's channel with a video showcasing all of the times he said racist and homophobic insults directed at him. YouTube went through his channel and deemed that while the videos were inflammatory, they didn't break terms of service and were able to remain on the platform. So the videos didn't break the terms of service, okay, which, by the way, YouTube is now going to go and change the terms of service and probably retroactively remove content from their platform. So that's awfully convenient. I can just change my so you can post videos up that are compliant to the terms of service at the time that you do it, but then later on they change the terms of service. You have to accept that, of course, and then all of those past videos that were previously okay are now going to be taken off, right? That's what's going to happen. And they're going to do it legally. Of course, they own the platform, so I kind of understand, but I'm saying platform here kind of loosely because really they're becoming a publisher. That's what they're coming into. And part of that I also believe is going back to the whole EU Article 11 and Article 13 thing. That's kind of another reason why they're starting to be viewed as publishers rather than platforms. Anyway, so I'm not going to read some of the words that are on here, but you can obviously tell the way that this guy talks. Yeah, like not exactly, oops, that's not exactly where I wanted to go, but sure, okay. I didn't want to go to there. Let's close that. Okay, so you can tell the way this guy talks. It's kind of like toxic. Like if you're going to define toxicity online, saying things like this is exactly toxic, right? This is the funny thing about the left, in my opinion. Like everything that they yell about the conservative movement is exactly what they are. Like, they're so hypocritical in this way. Okay. Now, yes, socialism is for F, right? Whatever. That's something that, these are t-shirts that, Steven Crowder, like him or not, is one of the things that he's putting up there. The company isn't your friend. It's arming the monsters that we've spent our lives trying to get away from. So he's asking everybody to leave YouTube because they're not your gay friend. They're not gay friendly, despite the fact that they just spent the last month like promoting gay pride, right? Not your friends. I've spent 2 years getting targeted by racist and homophobic abuse from one of YouTube's star creators. Today, YouTube decided that none of this violated their terms of service. Okay. You know, it's comedy, I guess, right? I don't know. Steven Crowder he's trying to be a comedian, but he's being a satirist in the more, like, I guess, abrasive sense, which is kind of interesting because that's exactly what we get on like late night TV, like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, right? Those guys are pretty abrasive about politics. The decision sparked outrage from Maza and members of the LGBTQ community as they felt YouTube didn't actually care about them despite YouTube openly celebrating Pride Month. I don't know what else LGBT people are supposed to do, Maza quote tweeted in a reply to YouTube's decision. I compiled the clips for them. I sent them everything, publicly begged them to pay attention. It's never enough because YouTube does not give a F about protecting marginalized people. It never has. Why is it YouTube's job to protect in the first place? I'm just wondering. That seems like an entitlement, doesn't it? It's your job to protect me. Since when is that YouTube's job? See, I heard a really good point made the other day. These guys never got out of high school. They never got out of that social system where somebody was the authority that they could go and run and cry to. Right? As soon as they got out in the real world, instead of owning up and being their own person and, brushing off the bad negative stuff, they want to go run to the principal. They want to go run to the teacher and complain. That's what's going on here. They're immature. They never grew up. They never figured out that adulthood is a little tough. It's a little hard to be out here making a living and amongst all the people who are, yes, quite often very negative towards you and don't like you in a lot of cases. A lot of people don't like me. It's understandable. I'm a really weird person. But I don't get what else LGBT people are supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's a little taste of Carlos Maza. Who's Steven Crowder? All of this stems from Crowder's prolonged attack on Maza. So what Crowder does is he basically goes after just about every Maza video. So every time that Carlos Maza posts a video on Vox, Crowder does like an anti-Vox video. Not in a not I don't know how to say it, but basically he's just trying to debunk what's going on. But he does it he's trying to be humorous while he does it. Whether it's your form of humor or not, that's up to you. Sometimes some of the things he says is funny. Some of the times it's a little, a little cringeworthy. Crowder is a YouTuber with more than 3.8 million subscribers. He's almost up to 4 million. He calls himself the #1 conservative late-night comedy show, which is probably accurate. I mean, that many subscribers, that many viewers that watch his show, that's probably true. He maintains that if his channel were to be taken down, you'd have to remove other late-night hosts from YouTube, such as Stephen Colbert, a host well known for his criticisms of President Donald Trump. So while his channel was able to remain on the platform, it was demonetized, but the door is open to get that monetization back. He's not going to get it back. And that's not really how Steven Crowder makes his money anyway. He's got this thing called the Mug Club. So he sells mugs for $99 a month. It's kind of a way around it, I guess, right? So he calls it the Mug Club. But he did have, obviously, monetization on the YouTube, which obviously added to his income because you got 3.8 million subscribers. You're making a pretty nice chunk of change on YouTube. But anyway, okay. Says that YouTube sent him an email saying the following things violated the monetization guidelines. His use of the socialism is for, and that's actually what it is, F***GS. And he always says it's for figs. Socialism is for figs. T-shirt. His 2017 video titled 204 Trans Troop Ban Oh No, and his 2015 video titled Muslim in UK exposed by Tony Bugle. This was revealed by him in his live show held on June 5th. Crowder also said he spoke with YouTube and deduced another apocalypse was upon us. This means he believes advertisers will be pulling their ads from YouTube, making it difficult for creators to bring in any revenue. So yeah, here's part of where we can see, this goes back to the original Adpocalypse, right? So for just a little context and history, the original Adpocalypse, there were a bunch, like there were over 300 major advertisers with YouTube that backed out, that stopped advertising on YouTube. So that was the first Adpocalypse, and we saw a giant reduction in the cost, in the amount of money that was being paid per advertisement. And basically, ads are bidded on. So different advertisers bid on a spot on your channel or on your video, and based upon your content and the bidding, you get a certain amount for each one of your videos. Just spoke with YouTube. He tweeted, confirmed the second Adpocalypse is here, and they're coming for you. Stay tuned. Okay, so that might have been a little hyperbole, right? Like, oh, they're coming for you. No, actually, they did come for many people. This was kind of the, Steven Crowder is kind of the canary in the coal mine. There are more coming. So Keemstar says his channel's already become demonetized as a result of the situation. Ben Shapiro had to chime in, obviously. If YouTube is now going to police insulting speech, not violent speech, it's incitement, not actual fake news. And he's got a point here. Like, what is violent speech? Because now hate speech, if I can, whatever that is, whatever hate speech is, we really don't have a clear definition on that. But now it's being considered violent speech. Right? Hate speech is violent speech. So really, as long as you don't, if you say anything insulting to me, that's hate speech. If you say something that I don't really like, I'm going to call that hate speech. Oh, and by the way, hate speech is violent speech. So that's how they kind of get around this. That's how they're able to say that all this stuff needs to be deplatformed and demonetized and all that good stuff. And while at the same time, like, here, I'll show you this. This is just kind of an outcropping of some of the things that Mr. Carlos Maza himself has said. Milkshake them all. Humiliate them at every turn. Make them dread public organizing. How is that not hate speech? How is that not hate speech? Throw milkshakes at them. Make them feel humiliated. Dread public organizing. You don't want to be in public. That seems awfully threatening. You better not be out in public. Okay? That's the kind of stuff that is just, they are the totalitarians. They are the fascists. I don't know how else you can put it. If you are trying to prevent other people from speaking up, even if it's, I get it, like you don't like what they say. I don't like what they say a lot of times. It's abrasive. It's not stuff that I would necessarily watch or listen to all the time. That doesn't mean it's something that should be taken away. If they're gaining eyeballs, they're getting, the cream rises to the top. If it's what people are watching, if it's what people are listening to and what people want to do, then let them do it. That's part of growing up in America, right? But it does come with the downside that, yeah, people are going to be abrasive to one another. People aren't going to like each other. It's just kind of a consequence of it. But the good thing is that roughness, that friction that you cause almost inevitably comes to some sort of open solution, some sort of better solution, some sort of resolution to things. When you start to marginalize one group of people, all you do is isolate them and make them even more radicalized. Okay, it's just the way it is. The more you marginalize, the more radicalized that group becomes. Okay. I got some more stuff here. There's a conservative YouTuber. So this is interesting. So Carlos Maza, back in March of 2018, recognizes that making fun of his gay voice, right? Not how could you call this hate speech? Carlos Maza himself is basically categorizing what Steven Crowder is saying is, he recognizes it as jokes. Maybe not good jokes, but he's making fun. Okay? Becoming the most serious long-term relationship I've ever had. Okay? So he's trying to make a joke out of the jokes. Seems like somebody who recognizes that this is not hate speech to me. Does a lisp to make fun of my gay voice. Me, it's still too butch. Act like you've bottomed before, for Christ's sake. Right? So he's clearly making, he knows that Steven Crowder's making fun of him. It's all an act. It's, well, I'm not necessarily act, but it's comedy, right? He's trying to be funny. And here he is trying to be funny too. I don't know that either one of these comments are funny either, but that's what it is. It's a tit for tat going on here. So the result is more people, and here's the funny thing about it, more people are going to Steven Crowder and buying his mug club. Like, it's just drawing more attention. The exact opposite of what Carlos Maza probably wanted is now happening. Steven Crowder is getting more attention. He's getting a bunch of YouTube videos. He's getting a bunch of public press. He's getting a bunch of Twitter feed stuff, right? He's getting more attention than he probably ever has because of this incident. This is what happens. You think that you're going to do good by bringing attention to a problem only to find out, oh, wait, you are the person in the wrong. And therefore, everybody else is going to back the other person and start buying their stuff. Just because I disagree with you, that does not mean I hate you. Okay? We need to relearn that in our society. And this is Gary Oldman from Vanity Fair. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Just because I disagree with you does not mean I hate you. Okay? Like, I argue with my mother all the time. I argue with my stepdad. My stepdad and I, we can have hours of back and forth on politics. We both know that we don't hate each other. And that's the kind of thing, like, if you have a personal relationship with somebody that you disagree with, there's like this instant, you know that they don't hate you. You know that there's no real animosity towards each other. You just disagree. But what we have now is kind of this anonymous society online that allows people to just spew vile things and start to suppress other people and oppress other people online. That's what's happening. But if you look at the direction that this is happening, look at who's getting oppressed. Look at who's being, demonetized and taken off, being deplatformed, being basically ripped out of the conversation. That's the totalitarian bent that's happening from the left side. And it's something that needs to be watched very carefully. Okay. So I think that's all the ones I had. Oh, yeah, here we go. I write straight through for Vox.com. Marxist pig Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist. Okay, so now I was talking about how this is spilling onto other things. Here is the New York Times doing a making of a YouTube radical collage. And look, they've got Philip DeFranco. How is Philip DeFranco associated with this? You got some Jordan Peterson in here. There's Philip DeFranco. Milton Friedman? Is Milton Friedman a radical? Look, this is insane. This is New York Times, so I guess you would expect it, right? Like, they really don't know. And then I saw this comment from Twitter. The funniest part of Voxpocalypse is that Vox has nothing to do with. Right-wing reactionaries literally don't understand. Hate speech, harassment, who runs companies, who's been demonetized in the past, the difference between Vox and Carlos, jokes, and many other things. I hope that you are just being satirical here, Sandwich, because that is exactly the opposite. Okay? The hate speech right now is clearly coming from the left. Like, did you see some of the Carlos Maza? How many F words did you see in his tweets? Harassment? Literally, we just saw milkshake them all, humiliate them at every turn, make them dread public organizing. Who is harassing? You don't understand harassment, right? Look at this. You don't understand harassment, Sandwich. Okay? Who runs companies? A crap ton of liberals. Bloomberg. Bill Gates. He's Bezos, right? All the guys at Google. Who runs companies? Leftists. Okay? It's not conservatives. You guys are really just, of the Koch brothers. and Rupert Murdoch. Those two names are it for you. That means everybody who runs a company must be conservative, must be right-wing, right? Alt-right. They're all alt-right if they run a business. Come on. This is ridiculous. Who's been demonetized in the past? Yeah, Carl Benjamin. He was demonetized. Milo Yiannopoulos, right? He was demonetized, kicked off completely. You got who's the other guy? There's a bunch of conservative side, right leaning that were kicked off. The difference between Vox and Carlos. Look, Carlos represents Vox. Okay, look, they're a publisher. He's one of the publishers of Vox. It's easy to now. The reason why we're saying Voxpocalypse is because if it wasn't for Carlos having the Vox platform and the Vox money and the Vox clout, he wouldn't be able to go to YouTube or go to New York Times or whoever else he's going to and say, "Oh, woe is me. Look at me. Look at all the hate-filled things that are being said about me." Right? If he didn't have that Vox platform, he wouldn't be able to do all this. But yet he is. And by the way, that reminds me. So who's the whole fact that he's able to do this, that Carlos Maza is able to get this done, I think undermines the whole idea that minorities are oppressed. Okay? Because honestly, if this minority is able to get the majority, what I think is, well, not really majority, but the larger audience, let's say, the bigger audience, he's able to silence them and silence these people, demonetize, deplatform, get rid of, cause YouTube to change their terms of service, cause basically your Twitter feed to fill up, cause YouTube videos to fill up. You telling me he doesn't have power? You telling me he doesn't have influence if he's able to do all this stuff? Come on. Of course he is. And some people might say, yeah, all right, that's just proof that, yeah, we're starting to make a difference. Look, you guys, this is silly. This is silliness. You are seeking revenge. And it's gone too far. It is going too far, and people are getting hurt. Okay? You guys are causing collateral damage. All right, I'm going to close that out. So, speaking of collateral damage, Ford Fisher. Within minutes of YouTube's announcement of a new purge, it appears that they caught my outlet, which documents activism and extremism in the crossfire. I was just notified my entire channel has been demonetized. I am a journalist whose work there is used in dozens of documentaries. Okay? And by the way, Ford Fisher later on says, oh, by the way, this isn't Carlos Maza's fault. To hell it's not. Just trying to be nice. Even if creators' content doesn't violate our community guidelines, we will take a look. So this is the YouTube statement. We admit he didn't violate our standards, but people were mad at us, so just backfilled a rationale for demonetizing him with Orwellian doublespeak. So we will take a look at the broader context and impact, and if their behavior is egregious and harms the broader community, we may take action. Okay, whose community is the broader community? I wonder who gets more views. The Vox videos and Carlos Maza or Steven Crowder? Steven Crowder. So who are you actually hurting if you take away Steven Crowder? If you take away his videos? Isn't that the larger community? The broader community? The broader community is the one on the side of Steven Crowder. Not necessarily because we like him or like what he has to say, but we support his right to say whatever the heck he wants. So who are you actually going to impact? Who are you going to harm by deplatforming and demonetizing all these videos? Clearly, it's not the broader community. It's the leftist community. That's the thing. They are wanting to protect the leftist community. All right. One last one that I got here. That's the Ford Fisher. There's that. Okay, so look at this. So I have a pretty thick skin when it comes to online harassment. Sorry, had a frog in my throat. But sometimes something has been really bothering me. Really, okay. Thanks again for taking the time to share all of this information with us. We take allegations of harassment very seriously. We know this is important and impacts a lot of people. Okay, well, YouTube, you should be, anything that Carlos Maza ever puts out, you should probably go ahead and if you're going to take off Steven Crowder's videos and demonetize him and deplatform him, you need to do the same thing to Carlos Maza. If you really take allegations of harassment seriously, you've seen the tweets. You've seen the harassment. He's actually harassing. He is calling for violence. He's calling for assault. Okay? He's throw milkshakes at him. That's what he's calling for. So that is harassment. So you need to deplatform Carlos Maza. Anything he posts is not allowed. If you're gonna do it evenly, right? So here's Carlos kind of coming to Ford Fisher's, side of things, I guess. Yeah. And then, of course, I want to clarify the record that it's not Gay Wonk's fault. So, right, it's not Carlos Maza's fault. And I don't want people harassing him for what happened to me. Well, you know what? He deserves to be harassed. He deserves to be harassed at this point, because if he's going to be going and doing this kind of stuff. And now, when I say harassed, I mean like we should be tweeting at him. We should be, posting videos about how awful we think that his behavior is. Okay. I don't want any physical violence or anything happening to Carlos Maza. That's not the point. That's not the kind of harassment that I'm talking about. And you know what? Like, harassment's not always a bad thing in some cases. Sometimes harassment is what gets you motivated. But that's a whole other discussion. YouTube did the purge, censoring, demonetization, perhaps in response to him, but these byproducts and errors on their part were YouTube, not him. Look, this is silly. This is nonsense. What did you think was going to happen? Right? I want you to demonetize, deplatform these people. Okay, get rid of them. Oh, wait, that's me? You got me too? Right? Like, well, yeah. That's what happens when you have a totalitarian regime taking control of things. You get a lot of people in the crossfire. You think a lot of innocent people weren't killed during wars? This is a culture war. And yes, Ford Fisher, you're in the crosshairs too, unfortunately. Okay, we're all in the crosshairs now at this point because of this crap. Because of people like Carlos Maza deciding to do this, to weaponize the internet, if you will. I don't really like that term, but I have no other way to say it. Like, this is ridiculous. He's purposefully trying to turn off debate, discussion. Doesn't want it to happen in the public forum. Yes, people who have opinions are going to get demonetized, deplatformed, who shouldn't be. All right. Today's generated a lot of questions and confusion. We know it hasn't been easy for everyone going forward. We'll be taking a closer look at our own harassment policies with the aim to update them. So thank you so much, Big Brother. Big Brother. Our principal of the high school is come to save the day. Right? Come on. People need to grow up. Okay? Look, if you're going to say something inflammatory, you better be willing to take the heat, right? But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should just be deplatformed. I remember, what was it called? Skokie, Illinois. I think that was the name of the town way back. Like, this was in my history books about how the KKK did a rally and they, Skokie, Illinois. That's what it was. Like, they did a rally and they were allowed to do it, right? Because they were forming. And the thing about it was, and the lesson that was taught in the history books and in social studies was, even though we vehemently disagree with their completely racist philosophy, they should still be allowed to speak. We need to see this. We need to see what's out there so that we can buttress up against it. We need to be able to speak out against it. But that means that we need it to actually be spoken. We need to hear what they have to say so that we can come up with counter arguments. We can be rational. We can have this discussion in the public forum. And what you have now is that you have a totalitarian regime that is the left that is starting to marginalize the right and they want the right to be more extreme. That's the thing is the right is not more extreme. The right has barely moved. The right has been consistent. They're conservative for a reason, because conservatism is about not really moving, not really changing things. They haven't gone more extreme. The left has gone more extreme by a lot. They're now the totalitarian side. They are the fascist side. Okay? They are the ones doing this. It's obvious to anybody with two eyes looking at this thing with any sort of non-blue-colored lenses, right? Without the democratic blue-colored lenses. It's obvious. It's easy to see. It's plain as day that one side is trying to silence the other, and that is totalitarianism. That is fascism. It's not conservatives saying, you're gay, you don't have a right to speak. That's not it. It's, you're conservative, you don't have a right to speak. You're saying mean things to people. Grow up. Grow a spine. People say mean things about me all the time. And yeah, sometimes it's hurtful. Sometimes I take it bad. But you know what? I'm a grown-ass man. I can take it. It's what's going to happen. And you need to become that too. You need to take it. It's the way it is. It's the way of the world. Not everything is roses and flowers, okay? Not everything is chocolates and sweets. Life sucks sometimes. People are mean. And you've got to learn to grow a thick skin, which apparently you don't, even though you say you do, and just learn to take it. And be a better person for it. Point it out. Yeah, go ahead, point it out. Say, ooh, Steven Crowder's saying mean things. Go ahead. You've got a huge, giant platform. You're on Vox, for crying out loud. You got millions of dollars backing you up. You can say whatever the heck you want on your channel. You do whatever you want. You talk about all the mean things that Steven Crowder said, and let's have that discussion. Then maybe you'd get a little bit more support behind you. But crying home to your mommy and daddy saying, the big man is beating me up and harassing me and being mean, that's just grow up. You're immature. Your immaturity is showing, dude. Your immaturity is showing. All right. Let's see what I've been neglecting to see what anybody's posting about in chat. If anybody's even still here. Well, I got 7 people watching. Okay, let's see what do we got. Kenneth Blanche says, if I may ask, how long do your streams usually run? I need to reschedule a meeting with my commander, which is scheduled for 1,000 hours CST. It's 10 o'clock for those civilians. And I just wanted to know if 1,100 hours would be late enough. Yeah, I'll be done. So I typically go, I go no longer than 8:30, from 7:30 Pacific to 8:30 Pacific. And usually I try to be done by 8, but this one's got me all riled up. Kent Dutro says, morning, good to see you back. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back. Flat Top Furry, can you please shout out my Uncle Hugh? Yes, Hugh, that good old Uncle Hugh Jass, that Mr. Jass. He's a good guy. Okay. My good friend Survivalizer says, straight white wonk. That should be my personal handle. Yeah, right? Straight white wonk. Kenneth Blanche says, they could have just put up a disclaimer about the content provider and advertiser relationship or lack thereof, that you need to agree to view the channel. Exactly. There's so many better ways that YouTube could have handled this. You don't, that's the thing to me. There's collusion here. They want to do this because they just want an excuse to do it. They just want an excuse to do it. That's the bottom line. They want an excuse to deplatform. They want an excuse to get rid of these folks, right? It's not about coming up with a solution to the problem. It's not about even satisfying the Carlos Mazas of the world. It's because the Carlos Mazas of the world will never be satisfied. As long as there is a straight white wonk, right? As long as there's some person on TV who's white and straight and has an opinion that's counter to his, that means that they need to be shut down. And those people are going to exist. I'm sorry, Carlos. Those people exist. There's a lot of them. Look, I'm one of them. Hi. Okay? Look, you're just going to have to live with it. And Carlos is never going to be okay to live with it, which means YouTube needs to figure out how to not just listen to these whining nincompoops and do everything that they say because they say it, just because they're politically aligned. Okay? You have a larger responsibility. YouTube has a larger responsibility to the community, and that is to continue to provide this as a resource, as a platform that it was originally intended for. The reason why YouTube was so popular was YouTube. It's in the frickin' name. It's about you. It's about me. It's about us. It's about this conversation. It's about having the discussion, about putting up whatever the heck we want because we think that it might be catchy. It might draw some eyeballs. Okay, that's the whole purpose of this. And as soon as you start becoming the arbiter of what is and is not acceptable on that platform, you're not YouTube anymore. It's left tube. It's me tube, right? That's really, oh man. Full Bill of Rights. Yeah, oh, that would be nice. Survivalizer. I was demonetized completely from YouTube and Amazon. Nice. DeFranco and Milton Friedman. Yeah, like let's just lump anybody that we don't necessarily agree with 100% and say that they're alt-right and that it's the gateway. Right? So how does this work? You start watching Philip DeFranco. After a couple of extra videos, maybe one of the suggested videos is a Milton Friedman, like, was it Liberty? Well, I forget there's a channel like Freedom of Liberty or something like that. There's a lot of Milton Friedman stuff. So you go from Philip DeFranco to Milton Friedman to, David Duke, right? That's just how, that's the natural progression, right? DeFranco, Milton Friedman, David Duke. Boom. There it is. You know, case closed. Definitely. All right. Any more comments? No. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I've been running a little late today. It's good to be back. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to click out of that, go back over to, hey, there I am. That's me. Hi. This, again, not my parents. I mean, look at this face. What's not to love over here, right? What's not to love? Oh, yeah, there's my code. Yeah, or my picture. Yes, I am wearing a picture of me. If you guys want a T-shirt that has me pointing at everybody asking if you coded, all you have to do is just go over to my other channel, programmingmadeeasy.com. You'll see that you can go to my Teespring store and you can get shirts just like this one. I might do some political ones, maybe. I don't know. There's maybe I don't know. We'll see. I got to come up with some more ideas because I don't seem to have very popular. My T-shirts right now are not very popular. I don't know. Maybe people just don't really want to buy stuff. I can't blame you. It's kind of it's money can be tight, and not everything is worth buying. So I understand. But maybe we'll come up with some other ideas. Anyway, thank you again so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, and please speak out about this stuff. Right? Try to don't silence, but let's call it for what it is, right? Let's call a spade, right? That's what's going on. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. I hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.